everyone. Welcome to episode 85 of Respawn Aim Fire. I am Holden DePardo, and I'm here with my usual co-host here,
Chad Michael Innes.
But we have a special guest this week, coming from France.
That's me, Alex Cohen. Sorry.
You can tell by his very heavy French accent that he's from France.
So French.
Hello, je suis Alex Cohen.
You got it.
Thank you.
So you and Chad met each other on the Tequila podcast, which Chad and I both done before, but this is actually the first time I've met you, Alex, so nice to meet you.
It's good to be here. Nice to meet you both. Tequila, correct.
What did I say?
You
did I
said
say
tequila.
Oh,
Yeah.
I meant to say tequila.
I mean, it is basically just a lot of tequila.
Yes, it is.
We both met while drinking a bottle of tequila to death.
Did you drink actually this time, Chad?
No, I'm
okay.
still on Accutane. I can't drink.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I was excited. I'm going to be very happy on your 21st birthday when you're finally able to drink.
I am almost a 30-year-old grown adult-ass man.
So it's a shame you've not been able to drink this entire time. Actually, you don't drink anyway, though, so it's not really a big loss for you.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm such a wuss.
Have you had a drink? Have you had a single drink in your life? Okay.
Oh, I went through my college years. I went through my just moved to Chicago party years.
Oh, we also... we had a great night where Chad got really, really drunk on his birthday, and we went to go see, with a few of his
50
friends...
Shades of Grey!
We went to go see 50 Shades of Grey while we were super drunk, and we ended up getting really bored and just throwing popcorn at each other in the theater.
And then I fell asleep, and then I got up and threw up, and then I fell asleep.
Wait, was the theater empty? How did you manage that?
Oh, no, it was
like opening weekend.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I don't remember anything about the movie at all. I just remember dumping a whole thing of popcorn in Chad's lap while he was asleep.
and that was fun for both of you.
It was a grand old time.
I can only imagine.
As the Flintstones would say, it was a gay old time.
I do like to reference the Flintstones.
Everyone does. They make the best vitamins.
They're incomparable.
But we're a gaming podcast, so we talk about gaming shit. I would love to kind of give the audience an idea of who you are, Alex, and maybe just a touch of your gaming history and why you're relevant to the world.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I met Eric when we were growing up. Eric is the host of Tequila, and they talk about tech most of all, but we have a very strong and vivid history of playing video games together, starting, I want to say, from like N64 days, playing a lot of Smash, and then getting into... Actually, no, the game system that we played the most was easily just the computer, which I think we started with a game called Oni, which was this weird Bungie, like one of Bungie's first games, I think, around the same time as Halo, but they made it, and it was a third-person shooter/action game. Very like off the radar kind of game, but I don't know why we found it, but we were super into it, and that was it. Like that, our friendship was blossomed out of that game, and then we basically only talked about video games for like 15 years after that. And then honestly, like I don't play a ton of games now. I moved to Paris, and I didn't bring any. I moved to Paris like 2 months ago with my girlfriend, and I didn't bring a ton of my stuff. I brought my Switch, but we don't have like a TV because we like kind of got this apartment on a whim. We didn't have a ton of time, but the only game I can really play consistently is Hearthstone because it's mobile and I play on my iPad. But I follow games on Twitch constantly. I watch AGDQ. I watch speedruns all the time. I'm heavily invested in the culture and the history of it. But right now has been tough because I've been logistically very invested in moving and living in Paris. So it's been definitely a journey.
It's kind of same with me. I'm in school right now, so I have like no time to play games either. I feel that.
Yeah, I'm an adult man with multiple hobbies, so I also have no time to play games.
but we love talking about them.
They're so amazing, and they've influenced. I think for me, the thing about games that not only like they're such a strong narrative medium, and I think that's the thing I like talking about the most because they're still growing as in that space, in like the narrative space, and I think it's really. There's so much room to grow, and I think by talking about it more and by like bringing it into the mainstream and like having things like this where they're recognized as like a valid and valuable medium to express storytelling, they just grow and more potential things happen and they're recognized more. I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. They always were meaningful in my life, and I'm just honored to be talking about them in like a serious kind of context like this. I don't know how serious this is, but I'm happy to be here. Anyway.
You'll find it goes between serious and then extremely just not serious at all.
Yeah, we could be talking about
it's a pretty wide spectrum on this podcast.
We have some crazy stuff, and then we also talk about layoffs and crunch time and shit like that too.
Yeah, I think actually this past month we've done a lot more serious topics. We did politics and discussing politics and current events in video games, as well as unionization in the game industry. We've talked about some serious topics. But we've also just done fun shoot the shit stuff.
That sounds right up my alley. So tell me what that is. I saw that it looked like an acronym, but I don't know.
So it is an acronym. So this is going to be a B.A.R.F episode. So every month we have a game, which is the B.A.R.F game of the month. That's backlog accomplishments with Respawn and friends. And this month it's Ocarina of Time because it's the 20th anniversary of Ocarina of Time. Even though we both played the game before, we usually pick a game we haven't played, or at least one of us hasn't played.
Gotcha.
So we've been playing it for the month. We're going to talk about it.
That's definitely relevant to me. Yes.
Yeah, so I think you were brought on here because of Ocarina of Time.
Correct. Yeah, that's my one valid. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm here.
That's it. In fact, we'll let you know when to start talking.
You'll hear a little beep with your name, and then you can talk.
Yeah. And please mute your microphone until then.
Sounds great.
No, we're kidding. So we're gonna start with Sony actually this morning. Talking about this kind of the Sony news. We usually segment it off into different companies.
Great.
So not too much this week in terms of news, just because it was Thanksgiving week. So it's kind of light in terms of news, but there are some news stories that are worth mentioning. This one here is from what's the guy's name again? Matt
Piscatella.
Piscatella, yeah. He works at NPD, which basically has been pulling up sales stats since 1985 for all sorts of industries, but they do a lot of video game stuff. Actually, I think primarily video game stuff. So he was basically on Twitter talking about how the hardware cycles are becoming harder to predict because of PS4 Pro and Xbox One X kind of changing up sales and the demand for the consoles is kind of what his theory is. But his quote is that, I actually don't think I have this in the notes here, but I forgot to put this in the notes. He said the quote is that it used to be you'd see a normal curve where it levels off after a few years of sales. But this time it's still going up, even though at this point, 6 years into a cycle, it's leveled off or has been decreasing.
Wow.
I looked into this a little bit and I didn't quite see that.
Yeah, first of all, it's only been 5 years, so fuck you, Matt Piscatella.
He did say 6 years. But yeah, so what I noticed is, because I think last year I pulled up all these stats on console sales for 360 and PS3, and and 6 years into the 360 life cycle, they jumped 30% in sales from the previous year. So I'm curious what he means by, he's basically saying that the new console generation differs compared to past console generations. Is he ignoring the last generation of consoles because it was kind of unique being around for 8 years as opposed to the typical 5? Or
no, I wonder if the Xbox 360. I don't know if we ever looked this in depth with it. Whether that kind of coincided with a major price drop or a new refresh of that model.
Yeah,
versus
it's hard to
these
say. Yeah.
That adds hey, we actually have the more expensive version of this on sale now instead.
But even then, though, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X offer something new that Xbox One and PS4 didn't do initially. Whereas anything with a price drop or an elite version of the 360 console, it was the same exact thing. It didn't offer anything new. Oh, I guess that's not true, actually. It had built-in Wi-Fi and that kind of thing, because you had to have a Wi-Fi adapter. But that's not the same thing as your games will look better and play better. So I think a 30% jump with just price increases 6 years in on the 360 life cycle is really, really impressive. We don't see that kind of increase for this year for the Xbox One X and Xbox One. So I'm very curious. He wasn't very specific in his tweets because he just said all this on Twitter, and then people freaked out and said, "Oh my God, it's unpredictable," and yada yada yada. But Seamus Blackley, who is the original architect for the Xbox, the original Xbox, he just says this is just because consoles are becoming more PC-like, and this is following a trend that PCs follow. And I'm like, that makes more sense to me than mid-generation consoles are changing everything and console cycles are done forever. I don't think console cycles are done forever. We'll see new stuff happen. Just it's going to play out differently is all.
Yeah, I do think that for the first time, I I have no idea how this next generation is going to be integrated, how it's going to, like, we'll see a little bit later here when actually, the next story, talking about PlayStation 5, like, does everything go cross-gen? There have been rumors that everything on Xbox One will also be on... Sorry, Xbox One 2, whatever the fuck it is, will also be
I just like
on
Nextbox.
Xbox
I
One.
think Nextbox is the cleanest way to say it.
That's what everyone was saying last year, too. Or not last year.
The last generation, yeah. It works. It makes sense.
But yeah, I have no idea how it's going to play out, especially with all the rumors of like the streaming version of Scarlet, and then the regular ass version of Scarlet, and then there's also a digital only Xbox One, but it's also going to maybe play Scarlet games. It's like,
well, also too, like we've always been predicting that consoles will just become stream boxes only. But based on what Phil Spencer was saying, like last week, I think that streaming will never replace traditional gaming. Maybe we'll always have an Xbox and a PS4 that's like a dedicated box. So maybe the console generations won't go away. Like, who knows? It's hard to predict.
Who the hell knows? All I can take away from that story basically is that your maybe 30 minutes of research on numbers outweighs Matt Piscatello's 23 years of expertise on it in his 280
That is
tweet.
the only takeaway. That is the only reality.
That is really funny. But no, it just more that like he wasn't being very specific on Twitter, so it's hard to know what he's actually meaning.
That's
I don't really
Twitter,
know
man.
what he means
That's
about what
Twitter.
he's saying.
280 characters.
Yeah.
240 character. Oh, it is 80. You're right. Never mind. I don't
We
know.
get double the
social media.
meaning
Shut
that we
up,
used to get now. Everything's a double entendre.
I've never
That's
on
what that
Twitter
means.
anyway, or any social media.
What is Twitter?
I had to like Chad had to text. So we were talking to her on Facebook Messenger to get all this set up.
It's true.
And Chad had to like text me and be like, "Dude, you got to get on Facebook and talk to Alex." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Facebook exists. I have to get on that."
It worked.
Never,
We did it.
yeah, it did. I got right on it. Well, he had to send me 2 messages because I also don't text message either.
Power numbers.
Yep.
Holden also types on a typewriter and writes in a book with a pen. So
Do you have a typewriter? I hope that's not a joke. Please don't tell me that's a joke.
I actually used to have a typewriter. When I moved back home, I didn't bring it with me, but
Damn it. Typewriters are amazing things.
they're very cool. They're just a pain in the ass to type on.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's no
You
question.
actually have to like push the key down. You can't just like tap it.
There's a lot of issues about typewriters, but as
Yeah.
an object, they're wonderful things to witness. Anyway,
They're
this is
wonderful
now
to
make a
witness
tap
and
writer.
great to talk about on video game podcasts.
Yes, really super relevant.
Super relevant. I can't wait for the typewriting simulation game to come out. It's gonna be great.
I'm sure there is some kind of secretary game where you just like see how many words a minute you can type.
Yeah, I think that
What's
was the
that?
Mad Men video game. You played as Peggy, and you were you started off as as the secretary and became a copywriter. It was a great journey.
It sounds. I mean, what was that game that's like very kind of tongue in cheek, but it's become kind of popular on streaming? Like the hand simulator. It's like just doing awkward things with your hand and trying. What is it called?
Hands?
No, it's literally. I think it's called hands or something like that. Where it's
Hand
just
simulator?
like
I have no idea.
no, it's something you do very like sometimes menial, sometimes insane things. But like like one of them is trying to do a surgery. But it's like very uncomfortable, and then there's another one where you have to like pick up a gun and like put a bullet in the gun, but it's very like awkward, and so it makes for really entertaining like group group experiences on the system, but it's ridiculous to watch because it's like and to do it's very awkward. Like there's no way to be good at it, or maybe if you are, you're spending way too much time doing it. I should look this up right now, so I don't sound like
That
an
kind of
idiot.
reminds me of like those games like I Am Bread or Octodad.
Yeah.
And it's like those games that are purposefully like obtuse to control. But they're
Octodad is
hysterical to
great,
watch.
though. I played one level of it, and I really want to buy that game because it's a blast.
You
Okay,
can.
here it
It's been
is.
on sale for years.
I know.
It's literally just called Hand Simulator. Just if you Google it, it's just a picture of a guy holding a gun and I can't even remember the name for the thing that you put in a gun.
A bullet.
No, the clip,
magazine?
You've been
the
living
clip,
outside of
yeah.
America so long you don't even remember what a bullet or a school shooting is.
Oh my
God.
gosh,
That
is hysterical.
But like the way that they're holding the gun in the clip is just
Oh my god, you're right.
absurd. It's just a
you
funny
want-
game.
Do you know what this looks like? It's like
Magazine.
it looks like
Magazine.
an alien came to Earth, right? And it was like, how do I do what humans do? Like,
Yes.
oh, play this hand simulator game. It'll teach you how to be a human.
That's exactly.
You just learn how to pick up things like a person and use fidget spinners and stuff, just like a human being.
It's literally just a screenshot with like some Microsoft Paint text on top of it saying "hand simulator."
That's not the one I'm looking at, but that sounds better than mine.
There's one too where you're fishing, so you're just like putting a worm on the line.
Oh my god, there's one where you're milking a cow. This gets better and better. Playing Jenga. I'm just looking at Google Images right now. This is disgusting. Okay, sorry,
that's
completely divert this entire conversation away.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's a really advanced game. I bet that's going to be on the PS5 whenever that comes out. So let's talk about PS5 right now.
That's our bar for next month, actually. So
PS5
release date and details leaked. Ooh, PSVR 2 in the works.
So this came from Reddit, from a Reddit user called Authentic Cookie. Or Ruthentic Cookie? Ruthentic? Yeah, Ruthentic Cookie. So this is probably
no matter what, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Also, I think a lot of this is ridiculous. So, not all of it, but I think a lot of this is ridiculous. So on Reddit, what he basically said, we'll start with PS5. He also talked about PSVR 2 and just a slight thing about Anthem I wanted to mention. But PS5, he says it's going to be unveiled middle of next year, and then it's going to be detailed in depth at PlayStation Experience when it comes back next year. And then the launch is going to be in, I love this, either March or November of 2020.
Okay.
Because Sony just has no idea what time of the year they want to release their console. They know at this point. It's going to have a Ryzen 8 core, which I don't really know what that means. That's like saying Intel 8 core. It could be an Intel i3 for all I know. In this case, Ryzen, which Ryzen chip. It's going to be $500. And there's going to be PS4 games coming up to PS5 as launch games. So Death Stranding, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima. But backwards compatibility is questionable right now. They may not do it, but they said most of the PS4 titles will also be released on PS5. But the question is, could you just put in a PS5 game into the a PS4 game into the PS5 and have it run? That we don't know.
I mean, it just sounds like they're hedging by saying, like, you can play the last games will come out on the last games for the PS4 cycle will come out on the PS5. Just sounds like it won't be backwards compatible at all. It's like they're trying to build hype. But this is not a real post. This is just like some fake leak that were like potentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was getting some circulation, so it was worth talking about.
I gotcha.
He did like correctly predict or leak the like Sony skipping E3 thing as well.
Oh, interesting. So, like, okay, some credibility.
Some credibility to it.
I got you.
And that is I would say that's a really hard thing to predict too, because that shocked everybody.
Interesting. So this I was very surprised. More like we should take this seriously then.
Yeah, it's not just a dude posting on Reddit be like, I think the next PlayStation does this.
But that's how people on Reddit talk. Yeah,
they all talk like parrots.
So here are the things that I think make sense. What makes sense is Death Stranding, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima coming to PS5 as a PS5 game, so like enhanced versions of that. That makes sense to me. I mean, Death Stranding has already kind of been talked about being a cross-generation game. Last of Us Part 1 did that with PS3 and PS4. Why not Ghost of Tsushima, I guess. The strange thing for me is the March or November timeframe. I think March makes a ton of sense for Sony.
It made a big deal for Switch.
Exactly. And like as soon as I saw this, I looked at this as Sony's trying to replicate the Switch strategy in the March launch, because you're going to get a March launch, huge launch sales, and then you get the holiday sales as well. Right. So you're getting great sales that way. But also, what's going to happen is this radio silence, the not being at E3, the not doing the PlayStation experience, is very similar to what Nintendo did before the Switch, which was, we're not talking anything about Switch, we're only going to have one game at E3 this year, and they just had this just drought of information for a really huge amount of time before they finally announced the Switch. And then when they announced the Switch, it was like, that's all you heard about all the time. Right. And I think they want to do that where it's kind of like die things down for a little bit, build up that hype, and then show it off.
Gotcha.
And showing it off mid-2019 after E3 would just make people forget about E3, which will probably be an uneventful E3 anyway. So that all makes sense to me. But the $500 is too much money.
Seems steep.
Yeah. Steep. That game from Ubisoft where you just snowboard.
Is that a real game?
That is a real game. That's how they
is.
ended their press conference 2 years ago. Was by showing off.
It was their one more thing.
Yep.
Yikes.
I think it's worth also mentioning that there were some claims about PSVR 2. They're just going to have a built-in camera, no breakout box, new Move controllers. Dear God, I hope new Move controllers. They have the same 10-year-old Move controllers. I swear to science.
They need also a camera that's better than the one they use right now.
Yeah.
There's better sensors.
Virtual reality gloves.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Hand Simulator 2, do I hear?
Hand Simulator 2. Ham.
It's on the horizon.
So, and then what's this bit about Anthem?
Yeah, so I thought this was interesting. So apparently Anthem is not running very well on current generation platforms, and the guy, Ruthentic Cookie here, is expecting a delay. And the reason I mentioned that, and this is also kind of mentioned in the other articles as well, that delay will get announced way before a PS5 gets announced. So if Anthem gets delayed, it's pretty likely that all this PS5 and PSVR 2 stuff is likely to be true.
Yeah, and Anthem, for the record, is slated to release in 3 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like we'll hear about this really soon, this delay.
Remind me, Anthem, was that the Destiny clone or like something that looks similar? Okay.
Yeah, it's made by
It looked
BioWare.
like Iron Man flying around in the ocean and shit. And...
It did look quite beautiful, but it looked very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's made by BioWare, so I trust that they'll...
I do trust BioWare.
Mess it up.
Yeah.
Except with Mass Effect Andromeda. But beyond that, I trust them.
It's so sad because Mass Effect, I think, as a series in the beginning, was one of the most impactful games on my life, and then having it be ruined so... but they had a different studio, right? Making it at the end. Like, I want to...
No, it was. Oh, I don't know about the difference with the end, but I'm pretty sure it was the same, BioWare.
God damn it. That's so sad to me. But it was, like, such a remarkable game, and I used it as the example for so many conversations as, like, one of the most, like, meaningful games that's ever impacted my life. And then it came out with Andromeda, and, like, I don't know, man. I just have a lot of mixed feelings about it, but BioWare I do trust.
Yeah, and they're making more Mass Effect games. They've said that, so hopefully they do well there.
We will see.
Totally redeem themselves.
So we talked about Death Stranding a second ago. I want to go back to Death Stranding again. There is a rumor that at the Game Awards we're going to get the release date for Death Stranding. This is coming from an email that was from Sony Brazil. It was obtained, so it's not sent to anyone who's supposed to get it, but they happen to get it, I guess.
Okay.
It says, update, release windows for Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima will be revealed during this year's edition of the Game Awards next month. The official release date of Dream will also be announced.
What's
Dreams.
that?
What?
What is
Dreams is Media Molecules game. It's they made Little Big Planet.
Oh, shit,
and
okay.
This game is basically you're like Little Big Planet. You made levels. In this case, you're making your dreams, and you can kind of play out your dreams.
Oh my god, I did see that. Yes, I saw the trailer for that. That looked pretty interesting. I've never seen a game like that.
You probably saw it years ago.
Yeah, they literally showed it off at the PS4 announcement.
Wait, was this the one that was like kind of... It looked like whimsical and was like making movies and really bizarre and like surreal at times?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can do it. Like, they literally recreated the entire first level using the creation tools available in Dreams of Little Big Planet. Sorry.
That's so sick. Okay.
It looks just like it, too. It's crazy.
Like, 3 years ago, they said, hey, we'll have a beta out this summer. And then it was nowhere to be seen.
Got it.
And then they're like, all right, it's releasing in 2018. They finally said that this year. And we're going to have a beta in the summer again. No beta. No word on a release date. And it's now almost December.
Jesus.
It still could come out this year, though. I mean, it's not over yet.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Half-Life 3 is Dreams.
It's just Gabe Newell just takes over Dreams completely. That's interesting, though. Good to know.
Yeah. So I think it's very likely, go back to Death Stranding, that we'll hear about something Death Stranding at the Game Awards. If they're not doing PlayStation Experience this year, they're going to have some vague trailer to show off, because they do that every year.
Got it.
So they'll do it.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Hot.
But Chad, I want to hear about, I just saw you put this in the note, I want to hear about Beat Saber.
Oh, shit, you guys.
I'm thinking
Are
about
you aware
getting
of what Beat Saber is?
Yeah.
Chad just got Beat Saber.
It looks
very excited about it.
so fun. Like, beyond fun. But tell me if
It
I'm
is It's maybe, so I've said this about a lot of games, but it might be the most fun VR game I've ever played.
Oh my god.
It is, so it's basically, for anyone who hasn't seen it, go to our Twitter. I posted a video of me playing it, and I kind of synced it with the actual gameplay video, and then just me in my living room. Tom and I played this for 3.5 hours straight on Thanksgiving, and it's Guitar Hero, but you have lightsabers. And you have a red and a blue one, and then as the blocks float towards you, they have little arrows on them that say what direction you have to slice them, and it's all rhythm based, so it's all in time with the music.
Yeah,
Holden, it's your favorite electronic music, so
this is a game I really would like to get VR for.
Yeah, me too.
But it's just so cool. Like, they have difficulty levels from easy to expert, just like you would see in Guitar Hero or Rock Band.
But I noticed though, I played one level of this game. Not all the songs have all the difficulty options.
Yeah, so actually the song that I posted on Twitter, you only have a hard or an expert option.
That's weird.
Yeah, but it is the coolest time in all the land. It is so fucking amazing. Like, I was smiling the entire time. I took every single time we would take the helmet off and hand it back and forth through while we were playing the party mode part. It was just like, that was so fucking cool. And then Tom would put the helmet on and play, and he'd be like, that was so fucking cool. And then we just say that over and over for 3.5 hours.
It looks so fun.
So what's the campaign mode as well? I didn't know this was a campaign mode in the PSVR version.
Yeah, so the PSVR launch brought an exclusive mode for the campaign, which right off the bat, like, we played the first couple levels, and I'm like, oh, this is boring. I thought it starts you out with just play this song on easy and finish it. Play this song on easy and finish it. And then the next one is, play this song on easy, but get this many points. I'm like, okay. And then it's like, play this song on easy and get this many points, but also you can't miss more than this many notes. I was like,
interesting.
Okay. And then it starts doing shit like, by the way, the arrows that show you what direction you have to cut it, they disappear after a second. And you just have to remember where they were.
Whoa.
And then you also have to get a high enough combo. Like, you have to string together 50 of them without seeing the arrows on them. And it's like, this got hard real quick. And then, like, a third of the way through the campaign, the difficulty ramps up to the hard level. And I'm like, we still got, like, 2/3 of this freaking campaign to go, and we're already on hard with all of these crazy challenges added on top.
Damn.
So it basically just takes that simple Guitar Hero formula and just throws all sorts of different, like, rules and weird situations on you. I'd say it's kind of like the Spirits mode for Smash Bros., but in Beat Saber.
I've seen a few people playing it on Twitch, and it looks insanely fun, and they look like they're getting a serious workout. The thing I had a question about was when you have to, like, duck and, like, move your body to, like, avoid the wall things. How does that work exactly?
There are walls that come in from the side, left or right, and then there's ones on top. And you have to duck to avoid it, or else you get smashed in the face and you fail.
You just fail the whole thing, or do you just,
like, instant fail, don't you?
I never actually hit one. I think Tom, the whole time we were playing, hit one, and it was an instant fail.
Okay, so
we have to lean left and right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's pretty forgiving though. It doesn't, like, you don't have to, like, go crazy trying to avoid it, like jumping out of the way, because it doesn't seem like anyone that's actually playing the game has to make any enormous, like, exaggerated gestures to avoid things. But I just didn't know how it works. I've never seen someone get hit by it because it seems too hard, but it seems like it's never happened to you except.
Yeah, I mean, you see it coming from pretty far enough away that you're like, all right, I can prepare for this. But
right.
They're fun. Sometimes they do, like, the walls might slightly obscure the upcoming notes a little bit. So as soon as you come up from ducking, you're like, oh shit, and you have to hit a bunch of shit. But
gotcha. Good to know.
It's fun as hell, you guys. It's so good. I can't
and this
wait.
Is on the PSVR?
It's already out. It's been out for a while on Oculus and Vive, but now it is on PSVR.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know.
The whole time I was playing Ocarina of Time this week, I was like, God, I just want to play more Beat Saber. I just want to play more Beat Saber. So yeah, I did also play Ocarina of Time, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I am now 20 hours into Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. I've beat... Tom and I actually played that on Thanksgiving as well. We jumped in and played the multiplayer.
How is the co-op?
It's incredibly overpowered.
You're already overpowered to the game to begin with, so I'm not surprised.
It's not a second trainer. It's one other person controlling another one of your Pokemon. But they're also running around on the overworld with you. But it's, if you're fighting any one single gym leader or any one trainer, it's two of you versus one of their Pokemon at a time, so
Okay.
It's pretty much an instant win. But we beat Koga and Sabrina, the 5th and 6th gym leaders.
How does the fighting system work? And I know like the whole gameplay is like the mechanics are different.
It's the same in terms of combat. It's the exact same thing.
Oh, it's the same.
The only real difference is when you are in the wild, you can see Pokemon walking around. You walk up to them, and then it's Pokemon Go. You're just throwing the ball to catch them. You never fight the Pokemon in the wild. You level up. You still level up and get experience points from catching Pokemon in the wild.
I see. But it sounds like the catching is what gives you the experience. And depending on how big or small the Pokemon is, changes how much experience they give you, or some hidden factor that I'm not aware of. I don't know. Is it just levels? But basically, the whole premise is the same as every other Pokemon.
It's the same, but I think they've done a lot in the background to make it easier. Maybe this has already happened in other Pokemon games, but I was talking to people at work who were playing it, and I didn't catch as many Pokemon as they did, so I wasn't as high of a level as they are. So, like, when I got to the 3rd gym, no one was over level 30, but Will, when he got to the 3rd gym, there were Pokemon there that were over level 30 because he had leveled his Pokemon at that point already. So I think it scales with you. So, like, if you don't catch as many Pokemon or not leveling up as much, they'll still make the game as easy for you to get through.
Interesting.
I don't think that's the case.
You don't think? Okay.
I haven't seen... Especially because I just got to... when we beat Sabrina. Actually, we got to Sabrina's gym before we did Koga's gym.
Okay.
And Sabrina, they wouldn't let you in unless you were level 45.
That's a hard cap. Gotcha.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, okay.
And I was not level 45 at the time, so I could not go in and have it scaled down to me.
Lamentable.
Interesting.
Lamentable.
Yeah, I didn't see any screenshots or anything. It was just like, I'm like, I don't think I was at that level. And he's like, no, I was over 30 at that point. So it wasn't like a hard thing.
I think someone just fucking lied to you.
I wouldn't talk to that person anymore, honestly.
Yeah, I want to just shun them from my life forever now because they lied about Pokemon. These are
Get
serious
them fired.
matters.
Yeah.
Plant cocaine in their locker. Holden, what the fuck did you play this week?
Well, I played Pokemon Let's Go, but...
Oh my god, you have that game too?
I have that game too.
If you guys want to hear our extended thoughts, go listen to our special episode with Daniel from Tequila.
Ooh, Regera.
I don't really have anything extra to add. It's still just Pokemon.
How far did you get?
I beat the 3rd gym now. I'm not that much farther in it. Pokemon, not Pokemon. Ocarina of Time was mostly what I played this week. I also played a little bit of Red Dead Redemption 2, but not a whole lot. I'm still in Chapter 3. I'm very, very early in that game still.
Do you still have a story for shit Holden played in Red Dead Redemption 2 this week?
No, because, again, I don't want to talk about story missions, and I've only been doing story missions lately. I've not been doing side quest stuff. I've been trying to pick up the pace a little bit because I have so much I have to play before the end of the year. So
all right.
I don't have any like random stranger stories to share
Thank you for sharing. Alex, did you play anything this week?
Yeah,
Hearthstone?
I always play Hearthstone. And honestly, there is some news in Hearthstone. There is a recently released expansion, or it's not released, but it is announced, and it's coming out, I think, December 4th. It's called Rostacon's Rumble. And did you either of you ever play?
Jamaican themed.
It is absolutely Jamaican themed. So, have you played any of the Warcraft series? Are you familiar with the games? I'm assuming, hopefully.
No.
I am tangentially familiar with World of Warcraft, but
only
tangentially. Not a strategy game. Yeah, exactly. I played a little bit of it, 3 hours once on
I'm
trial.
aware it exists.
But that's it. That's the extent.
But it's also been like 10 years since I played it.
That's fair. So I'll give you a little bit of background. Basically, the Hearthstone world exists within the World of Warcraft, or the Warcraft lore kind of context. And but it's like kind of with the twist of levity, and there's a lot of the jokes that are like, so it basically doesn't take itself super seriously. That's why it's a card game. So the interesting thing about this theme is all based on trolls, and like trolls are like have this Jamaican vibe. I don't know why. I don't know who chose that, but that was like that's their whole history. And basically, yeah, there's a lot of new mechanics. One of the most notable ones is what's called Overkill. I mean, the game is very similar to Magic the Gathering, if you ever played that as a kid growing up.
Oh, played a ton of that. Yep. Okay,
that is where I'm going to start. So I think Overkill is kind of like Trample, but not really, because Trample actually attacks the other hero or character, I mean the person, whereas Overkill is like... if you manage to kill like a minion with something, whether it's like a weapon or another minion, then it activates a certain effect, which is a completely new dynamic and mechanic in the game. which was pretty cool. This is going to be hard to talk about because if I'm the only one that knows this game, it's like a one-sided thing. But basically, I'm very excited about it.
We both did. Hold on, I think you played it too. We both played Hearthstone a lot when it first came out.
Yeah, I did.
Shit. Okay, good. So you know that you're very familiar with the way the game works.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Good. That's a good place to start. So yeah, I've been following the game for a while. I've been playing it for a while. I want to say like 2-3 years. I've never spent a cent on the game.
That's impressive.
Yeah, my brother actually started the account, I think, in like right after beta. So he's been playing it for a very long time, and so I just kind of jumped on his account when he kind of stopped playing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I kept playing.
So you had a whole bunch of cards waiting for you and everything.
Oh, I was very lucky. Yes, I had a whole bunch of cards, and I just kept basically building on his. Like when I was playing, I would build, and then when he was like, he would just play on. We were both building the same account and card collection at the same time. So we had two people using the same, making a strong collection together. So it's been great. Very excited for the new expansion. The meta right now is pretty stale. I mean, that's bound to happen, even though there's a ton of different decks that are flying around. There's no predictability, which is super nice for once in Hearthstone. But what is stale is that, it takes a year for the old sets to rotate out in Standard. And so it's been almost a year. I think it's 4 months out from the new rotation. I think it happens every April. And so basically you're just looking at the same, sets of, 300 cards, give or take. And it gets boring. And we want to see new stuff. Expansions usually help that, but more than anything else, rotations help that. So ask me again in 4 months to come on, and I will go crazy with excitement. Because honestly, that's when the real meat and potatoes of the real meta shifts happen, and that's what I'm excited about. But right now, new cards are always fun, exciting to talk about. But that's what I'm playing. That's what I'm thinking about. I've seen, I watch a lot of Twitch, so whatever what's popping. Like usually if you see a new game come out, the variety streamers will hop on that for a little bit. And I follow a few variety streamers, and I've seen honestly a ton of Pokemon Go, Pokemon Let's Go that, and they're just all doing shiny finding, or shiny, whatever. They're just hunting for shiny
catch
Pokemon.
Combos and.
Yeah, Daniel on the podcast last week was very much in the shinies as well.
It's it looks like a huge part of I don't know if it's an entertaining thing because it looks super boring to do over you're just literally doing the same thing over and over. But I think it looks like everyone I can tell is, instead of doing the main campaign, just looking for a shiny Magikarp. It just seems really weird to me. But I don't know.
But I think shiny Pokemon is the most hardcore way to play Pokemon.
It really is.
It's how you mainline Pokemon. It's like shooting it in your veins directly. That's getting shiny Pokemon.
Which is strange though, because I agree with you, but so many people are doing it, and so many people are watching people do it that because it's not a very gratifying thing to do. It's you do the same.
No, it sounds so boring.
It's super tedious, and it's It's rewarding in the sense that you get a Pokemon with a slightly different color. It's I don't know, man. What are you doing with your life? I'm not here to judge.
Some of them are so subtle, the color changes as well.
Incredibly subtle.
We're just looking
in
out
Pokemon
for my
Go, I didn't even know I had a shiny Zapdos for a couple of days because it's literally a half a shade darker yellow, and that's it. That's
so
the difference.
Silly.
They're just looking out for minority Pokemon, okay? Minorities are people too, all right?
So ridiculous. It's sad. I watched a little bit of Red Dead Redemption. I mean, I love Rockstar. Rockstar made that game, right? That's the
yeah. Okay.
Rockstar is phenomenal. They just they can do stories really well. I mean, it's a gorgeous game. I didn't watch too much of it. I didn't play Red Dead Redemption 1, so I didn't feel super invested in catching up with this. But it's gotten a ton of great feedback. What has been your experience with it, Holden, so far?
I'll say it's a prequel, so actually go ahead and watch stuff. It's does not matter if you play the first game at all. Yeah, it's absolutely worth it. It's deceptively called Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay.
It's a masterpiece. It's incredible.
Wow.
I've never quite played a game that just strived for being so real before.
Jesus.
It's just over the top in how real it is. In order to make sure that your horse has the best stats and everything. You have to maintain your horse. You got to feed it. You got to brush your horse. You got to shave, and if you can shave your chin or or your mustache off, or if you shave different parts, it'll grow in differently. Like it's so unbelievably detailed in every little aspect. You don't have to pay attention to those things, but for me they really matter because it makes the world so believable. I'm like in love with the game, so much so that I'm actually, it's been like a slow burn. I haven't been playing it too much. I'm kind of spreading it out because it's just really like going into this world and just spending a little bit of time with it, do a little story, get to know these characters a little bit, and then kind of pull out. It's like a TV show. I kind of treat it like a TV show. Like I'm going to do an episode of Red Dead Redemption 2, and then I'll return back again like next week. That's really, really like the game a lot. Cool. I want to get more into it before I it's one of my Game of the Year contenders, I'll say, but I want to play more of it before I'm 100% certain of that, because I might not like where the story goes. I don't know. But in terms of the mechanics and everything, it's fantastic. And the story is interesting so far.
So I have a quick question about, you said there's a ton of detail and realism in the mechanics of it. And I think that is always a risky game to play, because the more realism you add...
Well, that's why Chad won't play it.
Yeah.
it can make certain aspects of the game less fun, because part of the beauty of film and video games and movies, and books, is just to escape, right? Escapism is a big part of the reason we do that. And so to include things that you normally try to avoid in real life, maybe like shaving, it would be an interesting choice to implement in a video game. And it would have to be done in such an interesting way that really adds to, I don't know, the clarity or the intention of the video game. And I'm really curious to see how that is implemented, and if it's done in a really good way, that could pave the way for other games in the future doing something similar in ways that are equally as nuanced and realistic, but still compelling to interact with.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about that when I first played the game and talked about it on the podcast, and essentially it's how do I rephrase this? When you're playing the game, it's all really detailed and everything, but I just don't feel like it can be replicated. That's what I'm saying. It can't be replicated by another studio unless they're willing to put in the amount of time, effort, and energy and money that Rockstar can do, but only Rockstar can do that.
That's true.
So I don't know if we'll really see this. It's not like a trendsetter. It's just it's a gem.
That's awesome.
To be clear,
it's unique.
There are other studios that can make you ride 8 minutes straight just to get back to camp.
It's
there
more
are
than
other
that.
studios
It's
that can
not.
make
It's
you
not
clean
just
your gun.
that.
But you're right. They won't be able to do it and make it be fun.
Because here's the thing: if it was just it takes 8 minutes to get back to your camp, that's horrible. But when there's things you're meeting along the way. There's just beautiful vistas along the way. It's like Breath of the Wild. It takes you a while to get from one point of the map to the other part of the map, but you're enjoying the journey of it because the world is so real feeling. It feels like a real place. It doesn't feel like a video game world. Yeah. And a point you brought up too, Alex, of escapism. I think that's a good word for Red Dead Redemption 2, actually, is escapism, but just in a different way. It's like camping. Camping is escapism, but it's hard work.
Yeah.
You can't it's not leisurely necessarily, but people get enjoyment out of it because it's different than what they get otherwise in the real 100%. World. It's kind of it's more like that than anything. It's also like Last of Us. We're talking about Last of Us. Last of Us is not a fun game, but it's really enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's a really interesting way to put it. I've never thought about it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. Did you guys play any Metal Gear Solid 4 or 5, the Phantom Pain? That one equally, there was a lot of horse riding, especially in Afghanistan. That was such a vast world, and there was a ton of downtime where you were just going across the countryside and appreciating the spectacle of the landscape, which was, one of the reasons I genuinely love that game, because it was so, it felt like you were immersive. It wasn't, I also like nonlinear games in general, and it felt super nonlinear in the sense that you could start or end a mission anywhere you wanted, and you could just change your mind mid-course, but I do love the vastness, and I think that's something that is, when done well in a video game, is Breath of the Wild is like that. And what was the game that you just brought up 2 seconds ago? Actually, there was another game that I played this year. Last of Us, yeah. And also Far Cry 5. Was it Far Cry 5, the newest one?
That came out this year, yeah.
And I played that. I played Far Cry 1. Actually, that was one of the first games I played with Eric Shulkin from Tequila. But I haven't played it since that first one. And I really was interested in the world again. I think one of the things is I'm a designer myself, and I think beauty in games is something that is taken very seriously. And I think I've always appreciated that, especially like, there's a lot of variety in like the aesthetic styles that are being explored now. And this is going to be like a hearkening or like a reference to some of the games we're going to be talking about from the Game Awards, like Celeste, and a lot like the return of 16-bit games, and like games like Bastion, and I don't know, there's a lot of different styles that are now super popular. And so with Far Cry 5 and a lot of like the hyper-realistic but enormous games that are coming out, it's really cool to see so much attention paid to like really detailed I always forget this word, non-procedurally generated games, where they're like every single nuance of the world is considered. And when you find something and you stumble across it, it feels really special because it was designed and put there for you. And whereas like procedurally generated games, and I played only one of them really like heavily in my life, which was Star Wars Galaxies, the first MMO from Star Wars like 12 years ago or something. That game, while still cool and vast, it never felt as, I want to say, like immersive as a lot of the games that are now being like really, and you can only really do that with a huge amount of money and these teams that are enormous and like, Red Dead Redemption is like, the pinnacle of amount of like cash you can pour into a game.
I mean, like Red Dead Redemption 2 happened because GTA 5 was the best-selling piece of entertainment in human history.
Holy shit! Is that true? How much money did it make?
It's true.
Yeah.
It made what was it?
It famously made $1 billion in 24 hours.
Oh my god! What?
Yeah, but it sold 90 million copies overall. Not all of those were obviously at $60 a piece, but I'm sure most of them were.
Yeah,
so it sold a lot.
Ludicrous number.
Oh yeah, and it's always been like it's been consistently in the top 10 games sold since it came out in 2012. Like to this year, I think it's still been in the top 10 games sold.
Yeah, wow.
But even Red Dead 2 has already, like, in the first 3 days, it made $750 million. So
yeah,
do we know what the
I'm sure they're already making
offhand? Do we know what the budget was for those games? Like $250 million, or is it more?
I have no idea. Honestly,
no
it's a
clue.
great question.
It's been 8 years. So
I mean, so it's paid for itself in spades, but I'm just curious. I'm going to say GTA 5 budget.com. $265 million. That was GTA 5.
So they made their money back.
Yeah,
they made some money off of that game.
And how much? You said it's more than $1 billion. Was it a lot more than $1 billion?
I mean, it
made $1 billion in one day.
In one day.
Yeah, one day.
It's been on in one day. Yeah, it's been on sale for what, like 5 years now? 6 years?
6 years. Yeah. I'm just trying to think.
And it's the highest selling game. It's 90 million units.
Let's say this. Let's say with sales and everything, the average game was probably like $50 a piece. We'll say with sales. We'll say $40. We'll be
generous.
$40. We'll be generous. Yeah. Actually, this wouldn't be generous.
Opposite generous. For them. Stingy.
Yeah.
Stingy.
So for $40 at 90 million copies.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm at this point. I'm in scientific notation.
E to the 9.
That is $3.6 billion.
Fucking hell, that's ludicrous.
I mean, that's just a really rough guess, but
yeah, sure.
But I think you're being fair.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Holy shit.
Yeah. Okay, now it was just useful because now we get a sense of scale for all of this. Like, because honestly, what this is going to directly loop into Celeste is an indie game. Like the fact that it's like even considered in the same conversation as a game that's $250 million plus is being poured into is remarkable in and of itself. Like they're both achievements that are like worthy of discussion, but in very different ways, which is so fucking cool to me.
My game of the year battle right now is Red Dead Redemption 2 versus Hollow Knight, which is like two completely different games in every single way.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, development team size, you're talking about like, thousands of people versus 3 people.
That's crazy.
It's amazing.
It is.
I mean, one of them was crowdfunded. Fuck, man. And it wasn't Red Dead Redemption 2. It was not crowdfunded.
Guess what?
Guess which one it was. Let's jump into some fetch quests here. We just kind of got our short stories that we're not going to spend too much time talking about, but are worth mentioning. First one here is that there's going to be an EV Tamagotchi. This is official. It was rumored, and then it was made official. which is super weird. I never understood Tamagotchi, but it makes total sense for Pokemon to have Tamagotchi.
I had Tamagotchis. I had Nano Babies. I had Neopets, whatever it was.
Do you have the Digimon
They're bringing
one?
Neopets back as an app.
No, I just learned. I didn't realize Digimon actually started as a Tamagotchi for boys.
Oh, did it really?
That's what that was
then,
the only one I had. I had the Digimon one. I forgot what it was called, actually. They had its own name, but like Digipets or something. No, that can't be right.
And then they made a game and a anime and all that from that. I have no idea.
It's crazy.
Pokemon's doing well, though. They broke a sales record for the Switch. It sold 3 million copies, so it's the fastest-selling Switch game ever.
Damn.
Suck it, Breath of the Wild.
Chad doesn't like Breath of the Wild.
We already discussed this.
We chatted about this. We did.
So you understand that Chad's a horrible human being.
Get out of here.
That was the only conclusion I could have drawn from the entire
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh my god.
It's okay. I hated Horizon Zero Dawn last year, and he hated Breath of the Wild, so we're even.
See, Alex loves Horizon too, right?
I haven't played it. I'm totally neutral.
All you had to say was yes, you love it. That's
I
all
love
you had
it.
to
It's
say.
my favorite game of all time. I've never played it again.
Boom! Suck it, Holden.
Wow, it's just amazing. There's only one good person in this podcast here now.
You guys remember when we thought there was going to be a Legend of Zelda Netflix series?
Yeah, exactly.
Turns out it's Devil May Cry instead.
Which makes way more sense, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, Adi Shankar, who made the Castlevania one, which already got renewed for season 3, which I have to fucking watch.
I hear it's good. It's only 4 episodes per season.
I know, but also
really
I
short.
have a ton of other shit to watch. Like I have the last episode of Daredevil and the last episode of Haunting of Hill House.
Yep, and you still have to play Breath of the Wild.
I've already played it to completion sexually.
You have to play Master Mode. You can't know if you like the game until you've beaten Master Mode.
I hate you.
So I thought this next story was hysterical. So the headline is, why on earth is Max Payne pulling a baby out of his mouth while wearing a Death Stranding t-shirt? The actor
What the hell is this?
Yeah, so the actor who played Max Payne works for Remedy. Not Remedy. Yeah, Remedy Entertainment. And there's a picture of him pulling a baby, like a fake baby doll mouth out of his mouth, a fake baby doll arm out of his mouth. And then in the next picture is him holding the baby doll, and he's wearing a Death Stranding t-shirt, which is just like what happens in the trailers for Death Stranding. So maybe he's in the game or something like that. I don't know, but I don't know what's happening with that game anymore. This is just everything's fucking weird.
What if Remedy's game Control that they showed off is Death Stranding, is Half-Life 3?
Oh, it's all full circle.
Whoa.
Here.
What if all games are all part of one metagame called Death Stranding?
Oh my gosh.
Kojima could do this.
What if Death Stranding is just a combination of all the Vaporware games we never got?
Oh
my god, wait, is it an anagram?
Oh my gosh, wait.
That's the death. That's the death part. These games, quote unquote, die, but they're coming back.
Holy butts.
It's
Half-Life 3. It's StarCraft Ghost.
Oh my god.
It was going to be Kingdom Hearts 3, but they said, no, don't include us. We'll actually release the game, don't worry. So that's why that's happening.
Nice segue, because Kingdom Hearts 3, against all odds, has a release, or is finally completed for its release date in January.
Good timing.
I didn't think it would ever actually happen.
Are you going to play... Did you ever play Kingdom Hearts?
No, I'm not going to play Kingdom Hearts.
No,
Did you play anything?
Hearts.
No? Okay. I'm not going to either.
I played like 10 minutes of Kingdom Hearts 1 back in college, and you had to play Blitzball, which is my least favorite part of Final Fantasy X. I was like, nope, get out.
Wait, first of all, what is this game Control by Remedy? What is this game about? I've never seen this.
Oh, it was shown off at E3 last year at Sony's event. It looks very strange. I don't even know how to describe it. It's very weird.
It's like there's like telekinesis involved, but also it looks very much similar to Quantum Break, which was their last game for Xbox One.
Interesting. Let me look this up. You guys keep talking. I just want to see.
Yeah, look it up. It looks interesting. We just don't really know much about it. There hasn't been much information. Speaking of not much information, there's a trademark for an Alien game called Alien Blackout that was just filed. We know
not only is there a trademark, but there's
that?
also 2 Twitter handles, @Alien Blackout and @Alien_Blackout, both of which are private accounts and have the Fox whatever as their image.
Well, if it's a game and I want it to be a good Alien game, because
it won't.
It won't be. But like,
it's like saying I want a flower-smelling piece of poop.
No, that's not the same thing. Because an Alien game could be awesome. Like, that could be a really cool idea for a game. To
poop could smell really good.
No, it
just
can't.
Could. It just never will.
It just doesn't. I just want a good Alien game. It's got such a cool aesthetic and atmosphere to it. It's just, why hasn't there been a good Alien game? They always suck. Although I actually heard from a few people that Alien Isolation was really good. I'm like, really? But I've heard it's terrible.
Everyone says play it for 4 hours. Don't ever finish it because you'll get frustrated and want to kill yourself.
Okay.
But it's really amazing for 4 hours.
Okay.
It seems like a weird selling point. It's really good for 4 hours. Go for it.
That's what it says in the back of the box. Awesome for 4 hours.
The reason it's never good, though, is because Alien has never... they never graduated from the shitty license games that Activision had always done forever. That's still, what they're doing with that license is they're giving it to studios that aren't huge, don't make quality products, and then they're just, not even putting any care into it.
I think we're being very pessimistic about this. 4 hours is longer than any Alien movie has ever been. You're getting more Alien than you've ever gotten.
Touche.
So
Well,
you shouldn't be complaining.
Shit.
All right, I want to talk about this Telltale stuff.
Did you tell that
Telltale information? So, did we mention that Skybound picked up?
Yeah, we talked about that already.
Yeah, okay. So they're saying that they're going to have release dates coming out soon for that, and you're not going to have to purchase anything again. You'll just get it if you already bought the season pass. There's this quote. It says, "But we're excited to let you know that many of the talented, passionate team members who originally worked on the game are resuming development efforts today, and that was just the best news ever." That's great. I said that the same team is working on the game. That's awesome.
Good for Skybound for picking up all of Telltale's fuck-ups.
Yep.
While we're in the third-party indie little segment of our notes, can I mention the recent release of the Spyro Reignited trilogy? Is that
no, you cannot mention that.
Okay, wonderful.
No.
Let's move on.
Absolutely.
Because that was a pretty cool indie. Because it was sanctioned by the original team, but not totally made by them, right? It was a new team, new everything. I think. Right?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I think it was the team that was responsible for Crash being ported to the Switch. Made the Spyro stuff.
Interesting. Okay. I know I have one of my good friends from art school was the lead concept and art. He did all the concept art for the new Spyro game, and so I've seen for the last year all these sneak peeks at what he's done. And Spyro is one of my favorite games growing up. And really cool to see. Haven't gotten it because I don't have my PS4 right now, but would love to get it as soon as I get it from LA when I come back in a week, and I'm very excited for that. But yeah, just wanted to note it while we're here in third-party indie. I guess that's a third-party indie game, maybe not. I don't know how it's considered because it was somewhere in between.
It's definitely third-party.
Yeah,
but it's the developer is Toys for Bob.
Classic.
Who they've done Star Control, the Skylanders series.
Oh.
So they have some experience with
I'll be right
Spyro,
back. 1 second.
But not much. So yeah, I guess they didn't work on any of these 3 original games.
Interesting. But it looks good. I mean, I've seen a lot of people playing it on Twitch. It looks like it's been fun for them. It doesn't seem like it's a lot harder or, it doesn't include a ton of new challenges, but it looks like for anyone that has played the original one and has a ton of nostalgia in their veins for this kind of genre of game, and specifically Spyro as a character, would probably love it because it seems like it's maintained the spirit of the original, which is, I think, the most important thing when you're porting or remaking a game. Not porting, because porting is just the same game, but remaking it, obviously, 15 years later is not an easy task, and I think they did well. Very excited for it. Looking forward to playing it as soon as I can get my hands on it.
Yeah, so I really love the spirit that these kind of remasters have been taking, or these remakes have been taking with Crash and Spyro and the upcoming Medieval. But then you look at something like Final Fantasy VII Remake that is just completely changing everything about the game and making something completely different.
Sure. What do I think
kind of
about
wish
that?
that they would just what are your thoughts on that? I kind of wish that they would maybe just make it a different game. Just maybe they say, hey, this is a retelling of Final Fantasy VII, and it's just something completely different. It's not Final Fantasy VII, but it's something else in that universe, maybe.
So you're saying that you're looking for, like, if someone decides to remake a game, they, like, change some fundamental part of it, but still maintain some of the crux of its nostalgia? Or I'm just trying to figure out what you're, like, which side of the fence you're leaning on in terms of,
I know what you're talking about.
Is it worth remaking the game if you're not going to try to stay faithful to the original? Yeah. If you're going to change it, just make a different game.
I think you're making yeah. Okay.
I just jumped in right now, so I may have missed something, but I think you're making a good point, because Final Fantasy VII, they had more spin-offs of Final Fantasy VII than any other Final Fantasy game ever. So why not? Yeah, it's a good point. Why not make it just a spin-off in that world featuring Cloud and all that kind of stuff still, just a different point in time after or before or something.
Sure. I don't know. I think for me, the reasons... So are you saying that you wish Spyro did not... Like, you wish they just made a different Spyro game that was with the new graphics? Or I'm just trying to see what you're...
I'm all in favor of these beautiful remasters. Like, even Shadow of the Colossus that came out. Was that this year? Holy fuck.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Where it was a complete rebuild of that game from the ground up, but it was still incredibly faithful to the original.
Yes.
Like,
so you are a fan of that.
love seeing that. Loved it.
Good.
I think it's different, though, the turn-based RPG. Turn-based RPGs aren't as popular anymore. Actually, I shouldn't say that, though, because Octopath Traveler
just came out.
Sold really well.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, but I think that's an exception, I think, because of the art style. And there's a callback to nostalgia, where if you had, like, super realistic-looking characters who are just kind of, like, bobbing back and forth, waiting for you to tell them what to do in a menu, might be different than a little pixel art character waiting for you to do something.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I played a ton of Persona 5, which also kind of relies on the art style being super novel. But it also, you can only go so far on novelty of art style. Like, if the game is good, it's going to be a good game. I think you can say that Octopath does rely on the nostalgia factor for its, like, 16-bit, beauty. But I don't know, like, you wouldn't play a full game in that just because it's novel. Like, you maybe get, like, 10 hours, 20 hours in, and be like, okay, the nostalgia's worn off. This is not a good game anymore. But, like, if you make a good game, it will hold up the entire time. And I think that's just a testament to, like, people still are playing and looking for, either JRPGs or, like, that style of RPGs, turn-based combat in general.
Even in the case of Octopath Traveler, though, because you make a good point. Like, if it's not a good gameplay style, no matter how nostalgic it is, it's just not good. I mean, every time we do a B.A.R.F, I basically say that because I just don't think old games hold up that well.
Every time we do a B.A.R.F.
But in the case of Octopath, you had the break system where you're looking at, like, enemy weaknesses and
absolutely, yeah,
and, like, there was a lot of strategy in that changed the turn-based mechanic. Whereas if you just made Final Fantasy VII as Final Fantasy VII, it would, there's a time element to it, but it's really just a turn-based RPG with nothing, like, as strategic in the background, unless I'm wrong, which I could be because I haven't played too much of that game. But that's the vibe I got from, like, the first, like, 10 hours of the game I played.
No, they did.
I don't think that would carry over as well.
Yeah, I think they changed, they added a meaningful, like, new element to it that did actually add to the dimensionality and the depth of the game. That had they just, like, recreated an old, like cookie cutter version of a JRPG, wouldn't have had the same intrigue and wouldn't have, like, kept the attention of so many people that still swear by it, which is cool to see. Because Octopath, is that also an indie game? I don't think it was, like, a huge...
No, it was Square Enix.
That's Square Enix.
Oh, it was Square Enix. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Okay, good to know.
And they said they want to keep doing games like that, too, which is cool.
That is cool. Good to know.
For time's sake, let's move on, because Holden, you probably got to leave here in, like, a half an hour, right?
Less, actually.
Less.
We really got to go.
We have 1 minute.
I might not be here for the Ocarina of Time conversation, honestly. I might have to go after the Game Awards predictions.
Let's switch those two, then. Let's say, hey, Valve gave up on Steam Link. Surprise, no one used it. It sucked. Let's move on, then. Let's do B.A.R.F first. Okay. And then we'll talk about that, just because, I mean, that's why we have Alex here, and it's your fucking jizz bread and butter, so... let's talk about that, and then we'll breeze through some of the Game Awards stuff really quickly if we have to.
Sounds good. I'll stick around for like 20 minutes, and then I'll have to leave after that.
We can do that. We'll talk fast. 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
If you guys want to keep talking after, that's fine.
This is wasting time, Holden.
Shut the fuck
up. Welcome to B.A.R.F. Backlog Accomplishments with Respawn and Friends. This month, Holden had us play Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the 20th anniversary of this game. Holy shit, it's been 20 years since this game came out.
Yeah.
Hi, Ligashiza. Holden, would you like to lead this conversation as the B.A.R.F champion?
Yeah, I played the Master Quest version of the game. Chad played the regular version of the game, and Alex, I think you just found out about this like last week, so I don't think you played it for the podcast, which is fine.
No,
but he played it this year for the first time, which is why he's on.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. So that's the story. Yeah, okay, cool.
That is that's the rub.
That's there we go. I actually want to start with that then. 20 years after the game came out, you played it for the first time.
Yeah.
What was your experience with Zelda, and then tell us about Ocarina of Time and your thoughts of that.
Absolutely. This is, so I've heard, I actually played it when I was, I think 12 or 11 when it first came out. And I got to the water temple and was completely stuck. And I was super frustrated. Yep. And the best part of this story, though, is not only was I stuck, but I was like persistently stuck. I bought a Game Shark specifically for it. I tried to cheat the game into giving me the long hook shot early. Didn't work. I had to send it back to the Game Shark company headquarters. They said, okay, sorry about this. We'll give you a new one. They sent it back. Still didn't work. This literally was trying so hard to fucking cheat my way through the water temple because it is absolute nightmare of nightmares. And I still didn't beat it. And so I gave up at age 12 with deep loathing in my heart for this game. Come back 20 years later, fast forward 20 years later, I am with my friend Aaron Perlman, who is one of my good friends from LA, where I used to live, and he swears by this game. It was the game that like brought him close to his brother for the first time. He was like, like when he was growing up, he had a very like what's the word? They had a lot of animosity between them, but this game brought them together. They played it for 60 something hours and explored every corner of the game together. And so he swears by this game. So I was like, I'm going to beat the fucking water temple. Sorry, go on.
I'm just really confused because I thought games were brought in hate in people, not love. What is this?
I know, it's so bizarre. It's
so bizarre.
So he talked me into, or I kind of talked him into, don't remember how it happened, but basically he still had the console, he still had the game set up in his parents' home, which was like very close to where I was living at the time. And so we, for 1 month over this past summer, we're like, all right, we're going to beat the water temple, and if we have time, beat the game, because this is something that's like haunted me since I was a child. And this is something that I feel like if I can do this is like a rite of passage to like moving to France and like starting my life there. So obviously we did, and we played the game. I mean, I played 90% of it. He like, because I didn't want to, have him like sitting there watching me the entire time in his room. Like he played played with me at certain moments, but I feel like when we finally beat it, it felt like a true accomplishment, and it did hold up in my mind in a way that, like, even though like there was a ton of frustrating moments, like for example this, he had the original hardware, like still had the controller, the N64 controller with like the the transparent, you can see the inside of the fucking controller, which is like so fucking retro and amazing. And so but it was not working. It was like the actual joystick itself was super shoddy, and it, at this point was like didn't run well. So it was, while certain elements were still frustrating, I think I got like the core of the experience, which was like the music and the narrative and like progressing through this like huge world that was built to like around you and your story. And I think that was, I don't know, at the heart of why I think it held up was this like this core of like this game style or game formula, I don't know what to call it, that I think Zelda started, this like very linear but still like open world feeling game that was truly novel at the time, and used music in such a like novel and beautiful way to not only be like a backdrop for all the environments separately, but was genuinely like a tool to like transport yourself throughout the game, and you had to memorize them, so there's like muscle memory involved. So there's all these like weird, interesting uses of music and like that I've never seen in a game before or since, really, in the same way. And it created a very like memorable experience. And I don't know, I think it was a great game. I don't know, playing it now, I wouldn't say it's like the best game I've ever played, but I definitely understand, because I played like Skyward Sword, and I played Wind Waker a little bit, and I definitely played Breath of the Wild to death, but I played this game the most recently. I think the original, or not the original, but like Ocarina of Time most recently, and it was definitely spectacular. And so, yeah, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I actually had a very similar story to you in terms of I played it when I was a kid.
I always forget about this.
Yeah, this is like, I'm ashamed of this, but it's totally true. I beat Goma, and I thought that was the end of the game. So I just didn't like it. But I knew my friend had gotten to Ganon, so I'm just like, and he showed me fighting Ganon. So I'm like, how did he do this? Where is this in the game? I have no idea. I just thought that like you beat Goma, and then the just giant field you could walk around. Like that was your reward. Yeah, I just didn't get it.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I never beat or really played Ocarina of Time until 3DS, and it came out in 3DS.
Oh, okay.
It took you all the way until 3DS? I didn't know that part.
Yeah, it took me all the way to 3DS. So I never really
You only played the DQ tree as a kid?
Yeah.
Whoa,
oh my god, I thought that was just like something you did for like a month or two, and then just like learned, oh no, there's other shit there.
No, to be clear,
oh my god, that's amazing.
I beat the Deku Tree, and then just didn't really touch the game that much after that. It's not like I like persisted and like played it all the time, and like it just ignored Navi telling me what to do the entire time. I just stopped playing
it. You like, I'm just imagining you as like a 10-year-old, just like, you know, brushing your hands together, like that was it. Good job, me.
That was it. Wow.
Oh my god! But between then and the 3DS coming out, Zelda had become your favorite gaming series, right?
It did, yeah. And I just had never gone back to play Ocarina of Time.
How funny.
But this was my first time playing the Master Quest version of Ocarina of Time.
And what does that add to it? I'm not familiar with that.
It remixes, so basically it remixes the game and all the dungeons. The overworld is exactly the same. It's just the dungeons have been changed up. So like there are more enemies in a room, or you know, a puzzle slightly harder. And like an easy example of this is like of taking a existing puzzle and changing it up. You know, in Deku Tree where there's like the spinning like the roller that has spikes on it, and you have to like lower the water to go underneath it.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Master Quest, there is no option to lower the water. You have to time rolling to roll underneath it as this platform is moving underneath the roller. So it's like things like that where it just like adds a little bit extra of a challenge to it. And sometimes they're really fucking annoying. Like there's one in the Fire Temple where you have to light 2 torches to get this door to open. And I lit the 2 torches and I'm like, why the fuck didn't the door open? I don't know what happened here. And I'm like, oh, I found a switch. And then I hit the switch and it goes like dun-dun-dun, and like this little chime went off. And I'm like, okay, that chime went off, but I don't see anything change in the room. Nothing happened. Oh, I just didn't realize I had to look up at the ceiling, and there's a torch that I had to light up. So I had to like position my bow near another torch and like shoot that torch on the ceiling.
Weird. Okay. So
like
small
just
changes.
Random things like that, to the point where I actually really didn't like the Master Quest in comparison to the original game.
That's funny.
Because the original game had these rooms thought out for that particular puzzle in mind, and in this game they said, how can we make it really fucking annoying? That seemed to be their motivation. But there were some cool things though, where like they changed mechanics in ways you wouldn't have thought otherwise. Like, you know, when you come across the big blocks that you have to play the Song of Time in front of?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they disappear? Well, there'll be like platforming puzzles basically where you have to like jump up onto one, play the Song of Time, that way another one shows up somewhere so you can jump onto that one, then you have to do the Song of Time again so that the one you just came from disappears but shows up somewhere else so you can jump onto that one.
That seems tedious.
It is a little tedious, but it was kind of like, oh, they did something clever here with a mechanic that already existed. But just like you said, it's really tedious. So like even when they do those changes, it doesn't. It's not. It feels like a hack. It doesn't feel like it was designed that way.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. But then again, like the dungeons overall are still really good because there's the atmosphere, the music, and the bosses are still great. The combat's more challenging, which was refreshing because it's a really easy game.
So
when you've beaten it so many
Quest,
times.
Did you play it on what system with what controller?
3DS.
3DS. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I like Ocarina of Time a lot still, but I wouldn't recommend Master Quest. I don't think it's worth it.
When I unlocked it at the end of this game, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll go back and play this next year on Master Quest. Who knows?
Don't.
But no, that sounds awful.
Yeah,
I don't want that at all.
It's not great. And I feel like there were other things too that were just purposely annoying. that I don't remember being in the game. You know the likes, the little things that like eat you and then they take your shield?
Yes.
Did they? I don't remember this, but do they take your tunic as well?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they do. Okay, all right. I couldn't remember if it's a Master Quest only thing, but I get in the fire temple and immediately a like eats me, takes my shield and my tunic. But then because it took my shield, and the shield always shows up in a chest. The tunic spawned on top of the chest, so I couldn't grab the tunic, so it just disappeared. And then so I had to go like back and get the tunic again, and it was just really, I'm like, if that happens again, I'm gonna be so pissed. Like that, I just want that to be. It was only a one time. They only happened one time, but it was really fucking annoying when it happened.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
that's not.
I don't want
fun.
to shit in the game, but just Master Quest was unenjoyable.
I mean, there are definitely a ton of moments in the regular version that were super stupidly designed, and like, I think that was just a function of like the limitations of either the hardware or the design of the time. Like, I don't know,
yeah.
Like, for example, I remember going in I think it was the Shadow Temple, and there was a section where in the beginning, if you're going through, this is when you first get the those boots that like you can float on air for like 2 seconds.
Oh god, the hover boots.
Yeah, hover boots, right. And so there's like this whole part of the dungeon that's like in the very beginning where you go across that like an air like platform to platform, and then you go down a little what do you call it, a slope, and then there's like a ton of guillotines and skulltulas in a row, and it's very they're like not hard. It wasn't like a difficult thing, but it was like if you die or like if you fall, and then like after you get that past those rooms, which take in and of itself like 3 minutes, there's like a whole huge room with a lot of guillotines, and there's one of those like hands of death that come from the ceiling that you have to get in the beginning. Anyway, but like there's a lot of like open room to fall in that room, and if you just like make one wrong like timed, or you're like controller gives out for half a second and you fall, you have to do everything over again. It forces.
The hover boots are just like walking on ice as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's no friction, so you get it's very unforgiving, and like no room for. So like sometimes when you make a mistake in a game, that's fine. Like it should punish you for like not getting it, but like because the next checkpoint isn't like in a normal or like a healthy spot, you have to end up doing all these like very tedious, easy things over and over again just to get one more meter ahead. It's like, oh, I figured this out, but then I have to do all this again because I died, and you have to figure out again, and then you do like there's so many moments in the game where it's like so much backtracking for no reason, but like that's fine. Like I knew what I was getting into. This is a 20-year-old game. So much of it I did enjoy, but I think if they were making it again, maybe they change some of the checkpoints or spawn places, or I don't know. Like there's a few things that you can do that along the way might make the game just a stronger experience, and not make it easier per se, but like make it more fun and like because I'm sure the people that designed it 20 years later would like maybe if I changed this would have been a smart move. I don't know. Like I don't know.
There are things that have like in the Shadow Temple particularly when you get to the room with a giant boat.
Oh,
yes.
You drag the block out to jump on the ladder to get on the boat, and I was like, oh, what's up this little ladder here, or what's up this place where the block was? And I go up there and I find out, oh, it's just a shortcut back to the beginning. Right. So I climb back down to where the block was, and I guess there was not enough RAM. Yeah, the block had spawned again because it couldn't keep track of the fact that I had moved it, and I was like, fuck, now I have to literally redo the entire temple to get back to that boat.
I did that too. Did that too. That's probably what I was thinking of, and that's the worst. Yep. You can hear me like boiling over right now. I'm super.
I had a moment. It was this week. I was playing the game. I literally just am like, "Fuck this," and I just put it down. Right before I got to the water temple, you have to go to the ice cavern and get the iron boots. And when you're there, Sheik says, "Oh, here's the whatchamacallit, here's the song to play to get to the water temple." So then I just go right to the water temple from there, and I forgot to get the blue tunic. So I had to go all the way back across the entire map to get the blue tunic.
Shit.
And I'm like, God damn it! Like it was frustrating. They should have waited to give me that song until after I got that item.
Yeah, small changes, big differences in experience. Like that's just like an oversight, and that's stupid. And we can hate on them for that.
But I love, Alex, you had mentioned this, everything about the music in this game. The fact that the whole game revolves around music, and whether it's like making a cow feel more comfortable to get milk from it, or playing a song that warps you somewhere, or something that means something to the royal family that then affects everything in this world and makes people trust you.
So cool.
And the fact that all of it was just so beautifully done. You have, 5 notes?
Yep.
And you're able to make all of these amazing, beautiful melodies from that. It's so fucking good. And those are the songs that I think, for anyone who grew up in that age, like, you still know all of those melodies today.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I whistle them all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
I love it.
It's definitely the best music of any Zelda game, for sure. And playing it, that was definitely the highlight. And you're right. Like, that's what was missing in Breath of the Wild is, I want to play the Sun Song. Or, like, just, I don't know. Music has been a big part of Zelda games. They did it really well in Ocarina of Time. They did it really well in Wind Waker, as an example. Even Twilight Princess has music elements to it.
And Majora's Mask. Everything has a different instrument. You got the guitar, you got the drums, you got the fucking horn.
Yeah. And that was kind of missing in Breath of the Wild. I really hope they bring that back, because it's always been a very unique thing about the Zelda franchise.
Yeah, true. Or at least something equally as compelling and not, like, that was just so special. It doesn't have to be music, but at least come up with something that's just as weird and cool and, like, fun to interact with. And, like, honestly, it's one of the, I think, the most memorable aspect of the game. Like, the fact that you're whistling it 20 years later is a testament to the fact that it's truly memorable. Yeah.
But also, like, one of my favorite moments is really small, and that's just when you play Zelda's Lullaby for the leader of the Gorons, and he basically is like, I've heard this song before, I want something new. And so you go to back to your hometown, and you get a Forest song. You go back and play that. He's like, I've never heard this song before. This is so great. You're the coolest person. Like, it was kind of like cool to, like, build in storytelling, that game mechanic, and puzzles all in one. It was just kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, agreed. Dope game.
And Song of Time, or Song of Storms as well. Same thing there.
Oh, yeah, we have to go back and you learn the song from him in the future and then go back and teach him the song that he taught you in the past.
So fucking cool.
One thing, this will be the last thing just for time's sake that I say about it. I realized that I hadn't played this game. I in my head, I think, I've played this game 100 times. But I've played the first, like, 4 or 5 dungeons 100 times. And I think the last time I beat this game, or even got as far as the Shadow Temple, was the only time I beat it as a kid with my brother. And I've never actually beat it since, which was maybe 18, 19 years ago.
Damn.
And so I was rediscovering these puzzles for the first time, basically. Again, I was like, man, this is really clever stuff. Or sometimes this is really frustrating stuff.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool game.
Right.
And I'm glad I rediscovered it, Holden. So thank you for making us play this again 20 years later.
No problem.
Yeah, thank
you.
It
also reminded me that fuck Jabu Jabu.
That dude. Is that the huge fish guy?
Jabu Jabu was the third temple. Yeah, the huge fish guy. And anytime I played this game, I made my brother beat that temple for me.
You don't like that level?
I fucking hate escort missions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Wind Waker?
I've never played Wind Waker.
You should avoid it. The last 2 dungeons are just both escort missions.
I hate it.
Yeah, but going back to the whole, like, you forget about the later dungeons. I always forget about the Shadow and Life temples. Always. Or not Life. What's the last one? Is it Life or Light? Light, yeah.
Spirit.
That's what it was. I always forget the Spirit Temple. I always forget about that one. And then I always get to the Gerudo Temple, and I'm like, that's right, I gotta do this whole stealth thing. Like, I always forget about the last half of that game.
The stealth thing was so unforgiving. That was crazy.
It was the worst.
Yep.
That was the worst.
Crazy. That was the worst.
Excellent music, though.
Yeah, great music.
That was the one thing that kept me sick. Yeah.
The Gerudo theme might be my favorite song in the whole game.
Oh, that is the best song in the whole game, is the Gerudo Fortress music.
Yeah.
And the Gerudo Valley.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, actually. I'm trying to rack my brain, but I think it's phenomenal. Yeah. It's got a flamenco vibe.
I'd say in all of Zelda, I think the Gerudo theme and the Great Sea theme in Wind Waker are my favorite songs.
I think I liked Song of Storms a lot. It was really fun. And I think also because I played a lot of Super Smash Melee, and it was one of the... Am I thinking of the right game right now? Is it in Melee? Or is it in... Never mind. It doesn't matter. I'm going to stop talking.
Hold on. Do you have anything left to say about this game?
I don't, and I think I have to go.
And you've got to go. I think here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap up, tell everyone's next month, B.A.R.F. We're going to save Game Awards predictions for next week, because that will actually be the week of Game Awards.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll just wrap up the podcast for today. So, next month, we are actually playing Game of the Year contenders that we should have played but haven't. So, Holden, you're going to be playing God of War. I'm going to be playing Hollow Knight.
Hell yeah.
We've both already played the other one, so we can still have a really great discussion at the end of the month for it.
And I'm going to go back and play a little bit of Hollow Knight as well this month, just to kind of remind myself.
Holden, you have so much to play.
I know, but I have to play a little bit just to remind myself.
And then, we'll talk about Game Awards next week. We will skip our game for now. Alex, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Our most well-spoken guest, and it made me feel inferior. So
that's not my goal. That was my only goal.
He's just going like, yes.
No, I always have trouble articulating my thoughts, but you're just like, on a whim, I'm just going to sound like I'm speaking the dictionary.
That was the only way I got.
He's a robot. That's the secret.
You're wonderful. Do you have anywhere that you'd like to direct people to find you or follow your work or whatever?
I have a website, alexcohen.fr for France. That's where my graphic design work is, but that's it. I don't have any podcasts or anything interesting related to video games that they can see, but I do play on Hearthstone if you want to play me on Hearthstone, but I don't even know my gamer tag. It's like Terios #, 60573. I don't know what it is, but anyway, no, but thank you.
Great plug. Cool.
Super great plug.
Holden, you go to work. Until next week, guys, here's our usual sign-off. God of War is Game of the Year.
Bum-ba-da-da.